ninjas and sword fights and Cobra. Oh my! Hello everyone, I'm Matt Powers, the titular character to this animated bonanza. As always, we're here to talk nerd culture, and more specifically, a review of the newest film to hit theaters, which is why today we are reviewing Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Does this film beat out previous G.I. Joe entries? Is there a complexity to the character of Snake Eyes that makes him special? And does the appearance of Cobra villains mark the inevitable countdown to a Serpentor rom-com alongside Sandra Bullock? We'll answer some of these questions today here on The Matt Powers Show. But before we begin, I want to say a few quick words regarding how we score movies on this channel. I will have a more in-depth explanation up as a video in due time, but until then, it's important for you to see the inner workings of what the process is like. The overall score I give is a something out of 5, but that doesn't mean I'm only looking at 5 different categories. In fact, I'm looking at 10 different categories, each with a point system, a value of their own that's between 1 and 5. Based on the final number as I tally it all up, that translates into the final score. But that score is not an acumen to how good a movie is. It's just a way to rank it against other films. So, in addition to the out of 5 score, I also have a scale from bad to good, with a few levels in between. This way a movie can score low on the scale, but still be considered good, albeit with some flaws we need to acknowledge. So, 5-point scale for ranking purposes, but another level of distinction is either good, bad, or otherwise. Everybody got that? Okay, moving on. When the world is threatened by Cobra, the terrorist organization bent on world domination, only one team of globally Americans can save the day: G.I. Joe. But after 2 terrible films in the early 2000s, the franchise was all but dead. Along comes Snake Eyes, a G.I. Joe Origins movie about the most popular character, and by popular I mean he's a ninja. Welcome to the reboot movie franchise that hopes to create a Marvel-style shared universe as we begin with some character origin movies leading up to a huge Avengers-level team-up film for the G.I. Joe proper. Grab your popcorn, write your best Duke and Scarlet fanfic, and then sit down to a mediocre ride as we open this new phase of the franchise with an okay then. This is one roller coaster. You don't have to be worried we'll go too fast, loop the loop, or really have any turns whatsoever. The story follows the titular character, Snake Eyes, as an orphan boy working for the Yakuza, trying to find the man who killed his father from years ago. Snake Eyes ends up befriending young Thomas, a prince of the Arashikage clan of ninja, and is taken to their home to train. Along the way, he'll have to confront Cobra, the world's international terrorist group that is supplying weapons to the Yakuza, and learn the secrets about the night his father was killed. Overall, the story is intriguing? Is that the word I want to use? I don't even know if that's the right word. It's not the best ninja story I've ever seen, but it's a fun tale about a man who must put aside his search for vengeance to realize his destiny as one of the legendary ninja of all time. I mean, he becomes possibly the coolest G.I. Joe in the entire series, so we already know what he's headed for. But here we get a story about the brotherhood between Snake Eyes and the prince of the clan, Thomas. Oh, and spoiler alert only if you didn't actually watch the trailers. But Thomas ends up becoming Storm Shadow. That's right, they spoiled that reveal in the freaking trailer. Not that people couldn't have figured it out if you know anything about the G.I. Joe story, but still. Something I'll praise about this film is how they handle the character of Snake Eyes. He's not really a hero. He's a man seeking vengeance, and he's not really a villain since he refuses to work with Cobra. He's a complicated character who has conflicting motives, and this gives him a depth that's not usually found in these kinds of franchise-level action films. We all love John Wick, but his motivations are about as simple as they come. Snake Eyes will keep you guessing what his next move will be, and as he himself appears conflicted over which way to go. One of the things I was looking forward to was that this was an action film. I'd seen so many early reviews talking about how legendary the action was, and the film even opens with a quick word from the star, Henry Golding, praising the stunt work and fight scenes in the film. And I'd like to say that those were fun to watch, but I can't. Because every fight scene was done with absurd shaky cam style filming, and usually it was filmed at night. I had a hard enough time keeping track of characters when they were all wearing the same style and color of clothing, but then to have to watch it with all these other limitations tore apart the scenes quickly, and it made me feel bored. Just bored. That's not to say that the movie is bad. In fact, I really kind of enjoyed the story. The brotherhood between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow is a beautifully crafted story that proves that any property can be written with care if you give it as a little opportunity to breathe. But this absurd form of filming tears away what is supposed to be the best part of the movie. And if you can manage to sit there and watch the multitude of fight scenes and get any sort of inclination of what's going on, then you are probably a better cartoon character than I. Most of the effects were filmed practically, and I appreciated that from them. I like seeing real people in costumes fighting each other as opposed to CGI ragdolls doing the fighting for them. It grounded the movie in something real that I could follow along with. This isn't a case where there's going to be a bunch of CGI ninja running into a battle where, you know, like you would have normally with the big CGI armies in a Marvel movie. They hired stunt extras, they cast the action sequences, and they all were there physically fighting one another. That's a realism and a grounding that's necessary. But again, because you can't really see what's happening, it doesn't matter. They might have all have been Agent Smiths fighting Neo in that big fight scene in Matrix 2. This is another movie that suffers from the long absent films of 2020. Because of COVID, I feel like there wasn't a lot of marketing done for Snake Eyes, but it's hard to market something when you don't know what or even if the film is going to come out. I've said this before in some of the other movies, but normally there would be big tie-ins, a push for toys, a push for a Burger King special that had, you know, special cups and packaging for the movies. We just haven't seen any of that for the films that have come out so far. But that is because of COVID. That is because in 2020, everything got pushed out. There's no one on this world who loves a good marketing campaign more than me. I love branding. I will buy a new DVD of the same film that I've seen 100 times if there's a better looking cover than's ever been before. But these movies do feel a little hollow without having all that excess capitalism burdening them and trying to shove it down our throats. I kind of feel like I'm being, I don't know, scammed out a little bit on the fun that can come from watching these films by watching all of the branding and marketing that accompanies it. But I always ask myself, did you enjoy what you saw? That's a critical component to these reviews. That's actually a huge category. As long as I'm enjoying myself, most movies, even the bad ones, can be tolerable. It's possible for a film to be so bad it turns into something good to watch simply by being funny or enjoyable to see. Did I enjoy watching Snake Eyes? Yeah, sure. Was it great? Did it subvert expectations? Is it a successful successor to the franchise? All of these I might have to say no to, but point out that I did still enjoy watching it, even when your fight scenes look like soup on screen. I did have fun watching the character interactions, the special little moments, the Easter eggs. You know, as a G.I. Joe fan myself, this was kind of fun to watch. This movie is certainly better than the G.I. Joe films we've gotten so far. So what this movie does is it sets up the future of this as a franchise, okay? There are a lot of G.I. Joes who have compelling backstories that could make for really great character films as they build to a full G.I. Joe team-up movie. From the rhyming Roadblock to characters with names like Shipwreck, Gung-Ho, and Bazooka, there's a lot to learn about these characters and plenty of time to tell them. I hope this is the beginning of a long franchise. I hope this is the beginning of character pieces which are going to inform us about the world of G.I. Joe and Cobra, giving us a chance to breathe and see each characters individually, leading up to a big Avengers-style film. G.I. Joe certainly has earned that opportunity. Overall, it's really not a terrible movie. It's a fun blockbuster film to watch, even if you'll sit there wishing you could see what was happening on screen. I liked the character writing, the designs, the aesthetic, and at times even the banter. While I am dedicated to seeing more films in the theaters, this might have been a great one to have stayed home and watched through a streaming service. I'm not entirely sure it was worth the money I spent to see it in the theaters, considering how much of these action scenes I couldn't see. Good characters, great acting, and some memorable moments help bring me around on this film and see that there's more to the Snake Eyes film than just the put the guy in the suit and give him a sword. So with all of this review in mind, I'm ready to give my score. However, unlike my previous reviews, we're finally going to see that scale that I talk about. See, while this isn't a terrible movie, it's not really necessarily good. There is room here to say that perhaps it's not for everyone, maybe not even for those who might normally watch these kind of films. Therefore, I would declare this film to be watchable, a level underneath good. That is, if you find action films and franchise films to your liking, it's worth watching if you get the chance. I wouldn't necessarily commit to seeing it in theaters if you're wary about it, and I don't believe the theater experience changes the experience of this film at all. And so, I give Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins a 3 out of 5. It's a shame that this movie has such relatively low marks in categories like direction, characters, and it even misses out on the final category I use, which is called the X Factor. Does it have that thing, that special something that makes you go, ooh, this could be fun regardless? It doesn't strike me as something special, just another action film in a would-be franchise. Maybe we're nearing critical mass in these types of films. Maybe we're finally at a moment where not everything needs to be a franchise. But then I hear a producer from the Transformer movies say something like, a crossover is inevitable, and every hair in the back of my head stands up. Now that would be awesome. And considering there are comics that have crossed over those franchises in the past, maybe we could see that. Heck, they've even crossed over with both Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters. So here's hoping one day we can see a new kind of endgame film that involves all of those franchises. Ah well, a nerd can dream. Thanks for listening, folks. I appreciate you and your time, and I love you all. Make sure to do the YouTube shuffle. Like, subscribe, click the bell to receive notifications, all that jazz. And I want you to have a great rest of your day, whenever that might be, for watching this. This is Matt Powers saying, Nerd Out.
To the vortex!